Well, good evening, everybody. And and we're trying to start within 10 minutes of 7. So you can't? The blue light's on. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the November 2023. I don't know if it's a swap meet or the FWAS general meeting. Actually, it's both. We're going to push through and get through the business part of the meeting so we can get to the real business part of the meeting for tonight, which is the swap meet. So, do we have any visitors tonight? I know we have at least one. Welcome, and I've forgotten your name already. That's because I'm old. Gary, welcome, and I hope you find it interesting, and we hope you sign up. So, we're going to be talking about our dark site here in just a few minutes, and a lot of really interesting stuff. That's even better. We have plans for you. Any other visitors here in the room tonight? Okay, welcome. Matthew, glad to see you. Where do you guys live? Benbrook, okay. And I think Elizabeth is a new person. She's online, right? Welcome. All right, so some quick announcements, then we'll get right into it. A lot of exciting stuff to talk about. I am happy to report that on the fourth Tuesday of January, we'll be restarting our youth astronomy program. It will be hosted at the Bedford YMCA, which is on the old Bedford Boys Ranch. Very nice people, great facility. The evening will consist of studies about astronomy, followed by a star party. So it's a bit of a hike for you guys from Benbrook, but it'll be well worth it. Youth astronomy program is important to me because that's how Sun got started. It culminated in us building a Dobsonian telescope. Also, something different, we will be looking for volunteers who will be here on January 31st, New Year's Eve, to do a star party at Bedford's Boys Ranch. So that looks to be pretty interesting. Exciting. So I'll be sending an email out next couple of days. New Year's Eve, that would be December 31st. So the Christmas party is December the 9th. Part of the Christmas party, we always have an elephant or a Chinese gift going on. We're also doing a silent auction. We're starting it tonight for those folks that are here who may not be able to make the Christmas party. The silent auction consists of one auction for 2-night stay up at 3RF, one of their cabins. If you've not been to 3RF or you've not used one of their cabins, it's really nice. We will have an auction for the group photograph of NGC 7822. Just recently did. It's being printed on a metal substrate. It looks to be pretty awesome. Then Robert Cargill, who's the group machinist, produced a Losmandy plate. And can't have a holiday season without some wine. So there's 3 bottles of wine from Grape Creek Winery down in Fredericksburg. So if you're interested, have a look, make some bids. Then we'll have the we'll finish the auction at the Christmas on the 9th, and there's most likely going to be other items. I think that's it. So I do want to get right to a vote. Bruce is going to talk about, Tech's going to talk about it. Rising Star. One of the things we're planning to build is the board recommends, I'd like to put it to a vote here, that we need founder, Mary Noble. I've done a lot of research. Extraordinary woman who would, and we think it's appropriate to name the first observer. So I stand corrected, but we'd like to name the observatory that will be built out at Rising Star. Charlie Mary. I'm not allowed to make motions. Second, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Bruce.
I'll not pick. How's that? I have a dark sky site to get lights. Outskirts. What this problem? And are in had found out there, but got this piece of what we did is we water investment security get from the road to the at a swath so we level the cactus and out the built a composting so got all that done. Happy to get elements powering. Want to put in astronomy build houses. And the problem there have groundskeeping talking about putting in 2 observers. One would be named after and Also have an ads for get into also talk. This is what it would look like, and so you might recall that we having an event planned, a large event house. Divvy up the is in 8 feet. Talking about in the upper left hand power from power company. Power is going to economy build. And groundskeeping building would be over here in the club pads. The diagram shows 6 clubs and having lease pads, which are a little bit larger, 8 feet. That's also and now is layout pads. Power and power outlet. Pedestal power. Before I leave this, projects prize you power $1,000. Power five half the size. Add input. Now, have club pad, 1,005 pads. All the pads will the estimated cost right now. Not talked about hoping that We'll have in the bank 100. Project laid out right now. Bob's bringing power. Astronomy building. And the project manager responsible to manage expense. That's the sum. Rising star. What I that tower what we're planning. Also going to have installed halfway side of it. Aisle on one. Everything has a double door. That'll regular. Have to do. Put in lighting, light, power to on this. That's under discussion. Have it. All of our yes, the ramps, we have to build a ramp to the standard door, if you will. So yes, you would just roll it in there through the doors. And what for big Dobbs or for the Dobbs that are used most often, my plan is to have the storage right inside the door, opposite the door. And for those larger Dobbs that don't get used, they would be close to the door, but not immediately accessible. I'm talking about the side door. Yeah. I'm not talking about the indoor. I don't plan to put the Dobbs by the indoor. Yes. Right. We are aware of those metal ramps, and that's could be an interim solution for us. We are using metal ramps on the astronomy for the groundskeeping building, because yeah, they do fit a need, and you don't have to spend money chasing other solutions. And speaking of the groundskeeping building, this is equipment that we'll be putting in that 20-foot container. Let's move on. So it's a 20-foot container. It's not it's only 8 foot tall and 8 foot wide. We're also buying the container that has no rust on it right now. The interior and exterior is also painted. We're going to buy the installation package as well, so that'd be sprayed on, and we'll have a lockbox on the double container doors at one end. And this container will only have the double container doors. Okay. And this is what it'll look like. Although this container won't look as beat up as that one. But I had to use what was available on the internet. Okay, move. We also have to put in the footings, and then put in the light fixture. Oh, we're not going to do light fixtures unless we need it. We're going to put in hopefully put in a mechanical ventilation system and install the shelves, and it'll be ready to go. And that's its cost. Okay. So this is the club's observatory that we're talking about, and we'll get that name changed. But we think it's a great way of utilizing our equipment that we currently have. But by building a pier, then we'll be it's not a pier, but a foundation. We'll be able to put on a next dome, and then move in the Meade 14-inch Smith's casket crane, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. And then once we get high-speed internet, then we can turn it into a remote observatory. I've mentioned this before. Once you complete training, you'll get the keys, and you'll have the authorization to use the observatory. And then we'll have a lease observatory pad constructed, and just for clarification, these pads are 12 by 12 feet, and it will also be able to go online once we get high-speed internet out there. Yes? Yeah, right. Okay. And right now, the plan is for the club members to erect the forms, install the rebore, and pour the concrete. And then we assemble the domes and move the 14-inch in to have the Noble Observatory up and running. Yeah. We'll have a here. Well, the plan right now, the observatory will sit on a concrete pad, 12 by 12, by 5 inches thick right now. And so are you suggesting that we need piers underneath it for support? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was piers underground, and I was lost. It's dark down there, so. But yeah, but the 14-inch split casket crane has a tripod that may be able we could use as well at this point. I think the reason yeah. That move around enough with the period, not to worry about. What we want to do, honestly, is we want to get it up, we want to get the stuff online. Last thing we need are people that have donated stuff to us wondering why we are not using it. I do get those calls on paper.
Maybe we could leave a hole in the middle of the.
Yeah, Jim McCatherine is the club architect.
Yeah.
He's got that in his.
So isolate the pier.
Yeah.
Okay. The costs associated with putting in the pads for the observatories. And let's move. And then for the club pads, I mentioned as before, they're 5 by 5 feet in size, and they'll also have access to a power outlet pedestal And these pads will be available to members on a first come, first served basis each night they're out there. Okay. But like the other pads, we'll have a contractor clear the ground so they'll be flush, and then the club members will go out there and correct the forms and pour the concrete. The cost we talked about before. And the lease pads, very similar, but we just want to make sure everyone understands that why we're going down this path on lease pads. It's a way to generate revenue for the club. We're thinking of 5 in-ground pads that'll be 12 by 8 in size. And these are the lease options. You can either go with a 1-year lease at $1,080 or a 3-year lease at $2,700. And right now, so what we did here is what in just thinking if we were successful in leasing out 5 3-year leases, we'd end up with 13,500, and a 1-year lease at 1,080. So it's a significant income source for the club. But our bylaws do currently say that our equipment has to be available to all members, and by leasing out by leasing equipment out to a particular member would require a change in the bylaws, and that's being looked at right now. Right. Okay. Lease pad plan is very similar to the club pads. So do a little dirt work, and then the club members will come in and install them. The cost, as we talked about before. Okay. And that's all that I had for tonight on this. So any questions on phase 2 proposal? Yes.
We start construction, or all the money is lined up, and if so, what is the priorities? What goes first?
Well, let me start with priorities. Priorities is to bring in power, because once we do that, that really gets the ball rolling. And then we go to the astronomy building so we can get out of the lease and get our equipment out on the site. And the nice thing about that is once we bring in power and we have power at the astronomy building, we can ventilate it and manage and keep it essentially at ambient temperature. So that's the key. And then after that, we'll probably move into the pads when we have money to work through that with those projects. But we are short some cash, so that's one issue. And are you planning on doing the? Okay, so we'll talk about fundraising activities momentarily. Oh, yes, sir.
This, dark sky side, but that depends on everything else around that we have no control over staying the same. Like the people who own the house right next to this, do we have an agreement with them that they're not going to put out 50 floodlights and just things like that? So that, I mean, what if we spend all this money to build all this, and then the dark sky part of it is ruined? You know, a year or two later, some big company opens up a plant there, or some, you know, or they start building subdivisions out there or whatever. You know, just how confident do we feel that our dark sky site is going to stay going?
Pretty damn confident.
Okay.
Wouldn't have made an investment of a substantial amount of our cash assets to purchase that.
Well, I know, but when you purchase it, I was just going to say, you can always sell it again, the land. But then when you put all the other things on top of it, that you know, that's money that you can't necessarily get.
Right. So, um, it's all farmland, all of us. And so that's one thing in our favor. The neighbors are pretty decent. Very decent, very nice people. So the scenario you're speaking of, I don't think it's going to happen. However, I've started conversations with the county judge out there, to see if the county is willing, at least in that particular area, to put some sort of rules in about lighting. Because we're making a heavy investment out there. And we reckon that it's going to bring money into Cross Plains once we get upstream, things running. So we're not just building it, hoping things won't happen. We're also liaising with the local governments and the county governments out there to control the lighting. And I would think that for most of our experience, when we've been out there, there's been a little bit of dome, but by midnight, 1 o'clock, the domes from Rising Star and Cross Plains and Coleman are gone. So you're right, you can't predict the future. But you can try and plan for it.
Very good point.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because again, it just depends on so much other things that we don't have any control over. We're trying to stay in the same, and I just look at like this area, and it just keeps growing and growing out, and it's chemicals going out into all the countryside, and I was talking to John McCrae at Caney Hills on Saturday, and of course, this has been a while ago, but when he was younger. And he's talking about being able to see the Milky Way on the west side of the Fort Worth, which is now, impossible. And so, I just wondered. I'm just curious about that. Yes, because it is it's a lot of money, and it's money that you necessarily once it's spent, you can't get back.
Unless you're 6,500 feet elevation, like Donald, or 13,500 feet elevation, like Montague. Lighting credits is just a fact of life. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter where you are. But your point's well taken. We're not ignoring it. We are looking at it.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
It's a big.
Just real fast, the improvements that we're adding, specifically power, do increase the value of the relation. If we do end up selling it, we will sell it for more than we want.
Good
Any
question.
questions online? Chris? Thank you, Bruce. Excellent job, as always. And it's important for everybody in the club to realize that we have a group of folks working on this. We want input. We've gotten a lot of really helpful information from Jim McCatherine, who's he's the designated, he is an architect, and he's done a lot of astronomical work, and he's really sharp. But this is the club's dark side, so more than happy to have input. Yes, ma'am. We don't have a great relationship with that organization. So, and I think with Jim and other folks we're talking to, we're in pretty good shape. So I'm going to talk about capital fundraising real quick, and then have one other announcement, and then we'll get to the swap meet. Okay, as Bruce mentioned, $42,917, and that's without our 15% bump to make sure we're good. So capital investment, FWAS capital investment, 10,000. It's subject to change. We're working on figuring out exactly what that's going to be. And as Bruce mentioned, that, we have a directed donation for the astronomy building, the committed 3-year pad leases, and committed 1-year pad lease. And just in case anybody's interested, this turns out to $90 a month, and this is $75 a month. Okay, so, well, not done yet. So what we have available is $21,180, and as Bruce mentioned, we have a capital funding defect of $21,737. Okay, so we need to raise money. So here's what's happening. Jim McCatherine, are you online? Okay, so we'll turn it over to Jim in just a second here. We're working with a group called the 1687 Foundation, and I'll let Jim speak to that right now if he's available.
Yeah.
All right, take it away, Jim.
Been visiting with 87, their foundation, and headquarters is the Wood Ranch, which is 4 miles south of Clark. And they have a mission of the hosting firefighting. And it kind of makes sense. Conversation in their funding guide, but they would like to participate and have proposed informally paying us for providing star parties. And we're still trying to figure out how to price what we would otherwise do for free, and how willing they are to contribute to capital improvements at Rising Star. So right now, they've asked me to get in touch with their attorney. Cy Simonson and I are going to be doing that here after the holidays, and see what he has to say about how to structure that and determine how much they are willing to pay. If it's say it's a 3-year deal and it's $1,200 a star party, and we do 10 a year, we'd eventually get some significant dollars out of that. But it's nothing's determined yet. I hate to count the eggs, chickens before the eggs hatch, but it's still promising. And that is just the first foundation of several that we can approach with this, because we do tick a lot of boxes for several different foundations. But that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Any questions here? Questions online? All right, thank you, Jim. Okay, so things that we're working on near term. There's a silent auction. It's up here. We'll conclude at the Christmas party. And there'll be at least one other item that's not here yet. And so if you want to participate, we hope you'll participate. Please do. We're going to do a 50-50 raffle. We will do that. We're still getting a 5-point scored away. It will be done by an online It'll be done online. There will be zero cost to the club. Okay. For those that don't know what a 50-50 raffle is, it is where 50% of the total proceeds goes to the winner and the club keeps 50%. So if we sell $10,000 worth of tickets, the one winner gets 5,000, the club keeps 5,000. So just got a couple more details to get sorted out and have another chit chat with the board and try and get it up and running. So we're very interested to see how this works because it's online. We can, for example, have HEB ISD. And I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about HEB ISD, but it's the only group I'm working with right now that's helping. And the Bedford Boys Ranch YMCA has also agreed to help and send information out to their members. So that's one thing. Individual contributions, we're 501c3, so donations are deductible. And again, I say this every month, but many employers match employee donations. So I work for Transamerica. I will be making a donation in December, and Transamerica will match dollar for dollar. So that's a multiplier. We're continuing fundraisers, or continuing our large fundraising, working to get a grant from Transamerica, for example. They have a fundraising arm, and we tick all of the boxes. So and I've had some conversations with them. It may be that the first time through, it'll be a modest donation, but after they see what we do following years, it may be better. So if anybody has any suggestions of organizations to go to, we're all ears. And then there's the concept of qualified charitable contributions. We had, that's basically where you make a directed donation to the club from your IRA. We had one come through today. And that helps reduce your tax liability right off the bat. And so that's what we're looking at. And again, if people have suggestions on things for us to look at in terms of fundraising, again, we're all ears. We don't plan on, we will not build anything until we can pay for it. That's just the way we've done things in the past. Robert? Chris, okay. Right, and yeah, and they are, I think we have to check on the legal aspect of it. So according to the regulations that I've seen, it's 4 times a year, but I know the Dallas Stars, for example, their fundraising arm does it every game. So we have to make sure, and we're qualified. We are allowed to do raffles, period. That's not even the issue. The question is how many. And my initial thought is I'd like to see us do it 4 times a year. But I want to see what happens with the first 50-50 raffle. And then the next one would be around the time, or would be at our Messier Marathon. So your point's very well taken. I think Cy was about to say something. No? About the raffles? Were you about to say something about the raffles? Oh. Cy is our club attorney, by the way. Any questions online? Okay, well, I am just a little bit behind. Mr. Bill is going to give us a quick what's in the sky for the next couple of months, and then we'll open up the swap meet. Not today.
Let's talk about space things. Okay, so this is what's going on in the sky for the next 2 months, since we've got a Christmas dinner next month. There won't be any talk about this, so this is 2 months worth of stuff. This is the Carolyn's cluster. This is William Herschel's sister, named after her. This is a great picture by Richard Hoffman. So next slide. So what is in the sky right now? Well, let's see. The United States Space Force designated object 58229/1998-067WC is a tool bag orbiting the Earth right now, and it's I actually calculated how many minutes in front of the space station, in the space station's trajectory, that you can find the bag. The bag is tumbling, and so when it reflects the sunlight, it's actually at magnitude 6. So it's actually pretty visible, pretty visible. And this little dot in the middle here, this is said tool bag. Next slide. So I made this chart because that's who I am. And so anybody that is actually interested in looking at it or actually imaging it, you can check out the ISS passage and, add this and basically set yourself in the trajectory of ISS. And yeah, this is me nerding out with Excel. All right, next slide. Okay, so bright comets this month or the next couple of months that are magnitude 10 and brighter. So we've got comet 2023 H2. It's going to be fading. Right now it's at a magnitude 8.4. We've got 62P. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's 62P. It's brightening towards 7.0. Right now it's at 9.6. We got 103P Hartley. It's fading. It's at magnitude 10. So this one's fallen off the list. And then there's the Pan-STARRS Comet 2021 S3. It's brightening towards magnitude 7 as well. Right now it's at 9.5. So in the next couple of months into early next year, these guys are going to get brighter. And 12P Pons Brooks. That's the big news. That's the one everybody's going to be hearing about next year, in the beginning of next year. It's projected to get as bright as 4.5. So yeah, it's a 71-year comet, so it's kind of like Halley's Comet, 76 years. It's first return back after 71 years, and it's expected to be a really good return. So pretty excited about this one. Occultations and close approaches. So for those that dig on this sort of thing, on the November 26th, in the early evening, the moon and the Pleiades are going to be at a 1 degree separation. This is actually Jerry Rodriguez. He actually did this for, I think, the 2005 conjunction with M45. So that's the Pleiades, right next to the moon there. So I'm not I don't know if that's to scale or not, but it's a picture, and I don't know. I never really thought about it, but I don't really know if that's, I don't know if that's a composite or not. Anyway, next slide. All right. Our natural satellite is going to be in full phase on Monday the 27th. By the way, so this is the tool bag. Next slide. So Mercury is going to be at greatest western elongation. That makes it a evening planet on Monday, December 4th. It's going to be the highest on December 7th. Nautical twilight, it's going to be about 8.5 degrees above the horizon. And the new moon is at, yeah, I thought I'd throw this slide together. This is most of the pictures I could get my hands on that was from the annular eclipse. And you know, when it's Tuesday, December 12th is the new moon for this. It was one thing that I was thinking about when I put this together was like, it is only at eclipses that you actually see the new moon. I've just never thought about that before. So there you go. Next slide. Then there's the Geminids meteor shower. This is actually a time lapse that I took from Sin Saba, which is down in the hill country. We got some property down there. And this was from 2020. It's born from 3200 Phaethon, which is a suspected to be a dead comet. It is the best meteor shower of the year. If you can stand the cold and you can stay warm and you stay out there all night long, you're gonna see some amazing fireworks in the sky. The one right here, yeah, that big one that you see going through Orion. So the thing is that last year it was a bit of a bust. Actually, a lot of the major meteor showers last year was a bit of a bust. Because there was a moon in the way for most of them. This year, 1 day old moon, it's practically new moon with the meteor shower. This is not one you want to miss. It really is worth it. Yes, Si? Oh, did I do that again? It's the one. Thank you, Mr. Fact Checker. No, good job. I appreciate it. Okay, so, but whatever the case, it's always the night of December 13th into the morning of December 14th, whatever day of the week it is. But thank you for pointing out my mistake publicly. I appreciate that. So next slide. So I decided to zoom in to that one really big bright one that went through Orion. So you see Orion right there, and this thing was a beast. It startled me. It made me yell out an expletive. It was actually so loud so loud. It was actually so bright that it was actually quite startling. It lit up the whole sky. Next slide. Winter solstice, the longest night of the year, December 21st. Next slide. All right, so this is actually an interesting month for asteroids. So in this presentation, in these monthly things that I do, if any of the top 10, the first 10 discovered asteroids are in opposition, I'll speak to it. So there's actually 3 this month, and they're all in about the same place. I want you to pay attention to the fact that we've got the Gemini. Gemini just seems to be a very busy constellation this month with the Geminids. But we've got asteroid 4 Vesta that's going to be at opposition on December 21st. Cool little note that I noticed that it was actually heading towards the Crab Nebula. And it's actually going to be 31 minutes, half a degree from M1 on January 12th. So that might be a cool opportunity there. Next slide. So right here again, pretty close to the feet of Gemini here, is asteroid 9 Metis. So everybody settle down. We're not talking about Jupiter's moon Metis. We're talking about asteroid 9 Metis. So asteroid 9 Metis, it's going to be at opposition on December 22nd, and it's going to be shining at magnitude 8. It's actually pretty close to Vesta, like I said. Next slide. Asteroid 5, Astrea. That's going to be in opposition on Wednesday, December 27th. And that's going to be shining at magnitude 9. Fun fact about this one is that it was actually discovered by a fellow who's a postmaster in his town, but he's also an amateur astronomer. And he was looking for Vesta at the time, which had already been discovered, of course. And he came across this one, so go figure. And it just happens to be at the feet of Gemini. So actually kind of a cool grouping. If there's somebody with a wide shot with imaging and stuff is actually able to capture the movement of all three of these things in a single shot. That'd be pretty cool. The Quadrantids meteor shower, named after Quadrans Moralis, which is a long retired constellation that's now part of Boötis. It's usually averages about 40 in a dark sky. We're going to have an 8-day-old moon first quarter with about 41% illumination, and the moonrise is 47 minutes after midnight. But this is a really good meteor shower. I consider this one of my favorites. As long as I'm warm, that it's something worth staying up and looking at. Next slide. And then there happens to be a double transit of shadows in front of Jupiter. This does not happen all the time. You see single ones happen all the time, like Justin Godfrey's catch of Europa here near Jupiter's opposition, I think, last month. So these are the figures on the 7th of January, 2024. We're going to have 2 moons, and these are the specs on that. So it's going to be Europa and Ganymede this time around. Next slide. January's new moon is the 11th of January. Next slide. So since we're doing 2 months, we've actually gotten already to where Mercury is on the other side of the sun at its farthest distance. It's going to be at greater eastern elongation. Wow. Okay. Well, at least I caught my own mistake this time, so thank you very much. Friday, January 12th, it's going to be at one of the elongations. It's eastern or western. I don't Google it. But on January 9th at nautical twilight, it's going to be almost 8 degrees above the horizon. So neither of these elongations are actually very favorable when it comes to the height of Mercury, but hopefully we're going to actually start to see some altitude on that in other ones. So next slide. And that's it. This is actually we're all getting solar fever these days, and I'm seeing more solar imagery on our groups line and all the places where pictures are posted. And this is actually Christian Sinsick. This lovely little picture here of the sun through in hydrogen alpha here that he took on November 11th. So keep looking up. Thank you. Let's swap. Watch your eyes. Watch your eyes.
Is this one working? Okay, I forgot one important announcement, and then I promise we'll be done. So we've been working with an astronomer named Ken Levin, who is donating a 17-inch RC, the custom-built research telescope. And we've made a lot of progress. We're going to partner with the Thompson Observatory, which is owned and operated by Southwest Adventist University. And we are going to store it, put it up, and get it going in their roll-off. We'll have be able to access it remotely, and we will share time with it with Ken and Thompson and ourselves. Look to have that up and running by the end of the first quarter, maybe. He's out in California now, pulling the mirrors out. He's going to have them refinished, and Concordia College is paying the freight to get it to Thompson. It'll be there until we get our roll-off built, which is going to be down the road a bit, and then it'll be housed out at Rising Star. Are there any questions from the room or online? I'm sorry? Oh, I knew there was something. Right? Yes, we are. Thank you for reminding me. We're getting in such a hurry to be done. We need the tickets, not the cash, big guy. We just dropped. Oh, there's one under your foot, Phil. Your left foot. Yeah. So I did want to mention our friends from Myoptron sent us a dual mount for a tripod. So came in the mail this week. (480-7843). 480-7843. It wouldn't be a meeting if Michelle didn't win anything. Way to go, Michelle. We also have a 130 millimeter mini guide scope up here. 4807-808. 4807-808. No, that says 4807 Bob. 480-7808. Our man Phil. All righty. Here's the lead too. No, you can't win twice. 480-7823. 480-7823. Four 7831. That's why she wanted me to do. She knew. Last, but and most important. (4807-848). All right, way to go, Tom. Anybody care to make a motion to close the meeting? Second, all in favor? Swap meet starts right now.